This is for you, Hammy. Hammy was my first dog. She came to us literally out of nowhere. God must have answered my prayers before that day. I prayed every night for a dog. She appeared on our doorstep one spring morning in a silver box with a red bow. My dad opened the box and there she was, a tiny little pug with a red ribbon wrapped around her neck, whimpering. She was afraid of us at first, but once I carried her out of the box, her tail began to wag and she kept licking my hands and face. My brother and I begged our dad to keep her, and at first he wouldn't agree, but we wore him down. She was named Hammy because my mother loved the movie Gone with the Wind and liked the last name Hamilton. So Hammy is short for Hamilton. Sounds kind of boyish, right? Well, at first we all thought Hammy was a boy because she was just a little puppy and no one really bothered to look down there. We only found out that she was a girl when one of our neighbors asked us why we gave a girl such a manly name. We tried changing her name to something girlier, but she never responded to it. In a way, Hammy was like her namesake, Charles Hamilton. She was sweet and loyal, just like he was. And boy was it hard to train her! She peed and pooped everywhere, on the bed, in the bathroom, on the front porch. Dad always tried to teach her by spanking her on the butt, but she never learned. Even though Dad hurt Hammy, she loved him nonetheless. But the sad thing was, I don't think my dad loved her back. He just saw her as an animal, making a mess in his house, while we all saw her as part of our family, the baby. Okay, well, he was kind of right about that. Hammy got into this phase where she chewed anything that was in her way. The couch, our shoes, the doors, and the wall in our garage. We thought she would get over it. Maybe she was only teething. But then she started chewing our clothes as well. No one could stop her. No matter how many times Dad scolded her, she still didn't listen. She finally stopped when one day, while coming home from school, I found Hammy in my room, chewing my pillows and blankets. My room was a mess. There was pee on the floor and my shoes were filled with drool. I shouted at Hammy and spanked her on her behind. She stopped right there and then and was just staring at me. I guess she never thought I would get mad at her. And when I did, she knew it was serious, and she never chewed on a piece of clothing or furniture again. Since Hammy was the only one who listened to me, I was the one responsible for taking care of her. Of course, I was only 10 and I barely knew how to take care of a dog. My mom wouldn't even help me. I asked help from my brother, but he was always making excuses. But I'm glad no one helped me, actually, because learning new things, it brought me and Hammy closer. I was able to teach her tricks like dancing and playing dead. I played fetch with her, fed her bacon when no one was looking, and bathed her. It was through this that Hammy truly became my dog. Hammy always slept next to me. It comforted me because I would always feel the heat from her body. Her breathing felt so peaceful. We were inseparable. We spent almost every waking hour together. We went on adventures in the park and made new friends with the other dogs. Mom said that whenever I would be at school, Hammy would always just lie beside the window, looking out and waiting for me to come home. When Hammy grew up, she became a mother herself. We were on one of our adventures at the park when another pug suddenly ran to her and started smelling her butt. Before I could stop the other pug, he and Hammy were already together. You know, together, if you know what I mean. I couldn't do anything about it. And once they were done, I grabbed Hammy and ran home. That was the last time we went to the park. A few weeks after that incident, I noticed that Hammy wasn't her usual self. She barely played with me and her toys. I asked my mom if we could take her to the vet to get checked up. And what do you know? Hammy was pregnant! The vet did an ultrasound and I saw the tiny babies inside of her. I was so excited. I couldn't wait for the puppies to get here. My mom and I helped Hammy deliver her puppies. One died though. She suffocated inside that membrane thing that comes out with the puppies. I don't know what it's called, but the rest were in good shape. While the other two were feeding, I went to the back of our house and began to bury the puppy. Without knowing it, I started crying. I cried so much that my dad had to bury him for me. Put it in a small box and covered him with a lot of blankets. I tried to compose myself and went back inside. Hammy looked so adorable cleaning her babies while they were feeding. They were so small. But when they were a month and a half, Dad sold them because he said they were purebred and purebred dogs would bring in a lot of money. Mom and Dad suddenly came up with the idea to make Hammy breed with the other pugs and sell the puppies when they were old enough. I hated them for it. Hammy wasn't a machine who would just sprout purebred dogs twice or thrice a year. I tried to get them to change their minds, but they wouldn't listen. My parents began looking for dog owners who wanted a bitch to breed with their dogs. So it began. Every year, Hammy gave birth to a new batch of puppies. Hammy's skin started to sag, but her happiness never died down. But whenever she had puppies, she went to full-on mom mode, always looking out for them and feeding them. For the next 7 years, Hammy's life was all about making my parents money. Every litter she gave birth to were perfect. No runs and no one died. But when Hammy was already 10 years old and she gave birth, something felt wrong. I couldn't figure it out at first. When I came to check on her, I noticed that her bed was soaked in blood. I thought it was normal because she had given birth. I called my dad to show him, and he rushed Hammy to the vet. I came with him while my mom stayed with the newborns. The vet told us that Hammy lost a lot of blood due to a hemorrhage. He said that this could occur to a dog of any age, but was worried about Hammy because she was already too old for a dog. I didn't want to leave her there. My dad convinced me though that Hammy would be alright. The following day we got a call. Dad said he was being called to the clinic and I went with him. Sadly, when we got there, the vet told us that Hammy suffered an infection in her uterus and they weren't sure if she was going to survive. I couldn't believe it. My brother suggested that we have her euthanized. My dad told the vet our decision, and when he came out, I could see that he was hurting too. He never actually cared about Hammy, but I guess I was wrong. She was, after all, his dog too. I was the only one who said goodbye to Hammy. I stroked her head one last time and told her how much I loved her, how much I was going to miss her. I thanked her for everything, and even apologized for the times when she felt neglected by me. The vet finally came in, and she injected her with a drug. And just like that, her eyes slowly began to close, and she was gone. I cried so hard that night. I didn't want to accept that Hammy was already gone. We buried her the next day. Mom was carrying all the puppies. She wanted them to be able to say goodbye to their mother too. I missed Hammy so much that I hugged all of her puppies just to try to feel her again. It's been weeks since Hammy left us, and I know that no matter how much it hurts, Hammy is in a better place. Her stay with us, with me, it wasn't short, but it sure felt like it. To everyone who has a dog, never take them for granted, because they may not be your whole life, but you are theirs.